Oh, viewing audience, do I have a treat for you? I don't know about you, but television and things on the media, in the social media, are changing by day. And I don't know if it's for the good of our families or not. When you look at some of the things that's on television and in the media, you say, I can't believe they're doing that. I cannot believe they're doing that. But and then you feel helpless. You say, what can I do to raise our concerns? But guess what? There is a group out there that is doing something about it, and they've been doing something about it for many years, trying to make sure that our children are not listening and watching things that are really that grown-ups are watching, or that they shouldn't be listening to, and that's going into their little minds. And so we have on the show, we have Melissa Henson, who is the vice president of the Parent Television Media Council. Miss Melissa, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for
Oh,
having me on.
you know what? God bless y'all. We're going to put you in our prayer list for our
Thank
family
you.
because you are a Parent Television Media Council. I see that you're doing a lot to help our families and the next generation. But I want you to tell our viewing audience some of the things that you're doing and how you got started.
Yeah. Well, how I personally got started or how the Parents
I
Television
want to
Media
hear
Council
it
got
all. I
started.
want to hear it.
Okay. Well, the Parents Television Media Council, we started out as just the Parents Television Council because this was before the days of everybody owning a smartphone and before the days of YouTube. So back in 1995, when the PTC first got started, there was, four broadcast networks: ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox. And that was what kids were primarily consuming. Was they were coming home at night and turning on the television, watching what was on the broadcast channels. But of course, the world has changed a lot since those days. And these days, kids are carrying around their media in their pockets. They've got their smartphones, and they've got their Netflix app, and they've got their Amazon Prime app, and they've got their HBO Max app, and they've got so many different options for viewing content. And it's not just the original scripted shows anymore either, because now we also have YouTube and social media with things like TikTok and the Facebook Reels and Instagram Reels. And so kids are being bombarded from all sides with these media messages. And so many of the media messages are just so toxic.
Yeah.
They're filling these kids' brains with really confusing ideas about sex and how to behave and how to interact. I think it's leading to a lot of mental health problems for our children too. And what the data shows is that kids today are experiencing higher levels of anxiety and depression. The U.S. Surgeon General has issued a warning about kids and mental health, and a lot of it, I think, has to do with their social media use. Suicide and suicide attempts are on the rise among our nation's youth. So this is a serious problem with serious consequences. And I think as parents and teachers and youth group leaders and all the rest, we need to take these issues very, very seriously.
Well, Parent Television Council, you have a very serious mission ahead of you.
Yeah.
To try to maybe change that, and it's overwhelming. It's like a great big giant industry. I
Yeah.
mean, to how do you do that? I mean, you're coming against raising concerns against a giant industry who also has families who should be concerned, but it doesn't seem like, when you look at what's out there, that they are all about the money and they don't concern. How do you do that? How do you monitor that big giant that's out there?
It is challenging. It is so hard. And especially with some of these social media apps and streaming
Yes.
platforms, because it's not like it was when we started out, where everybody was watching the same thing at 8 o'clock at night, right?
Yes. Yes.
Every consumer, every viewer, when they log on to YouTube or when they log on to TikTok, they're going to be given different options. They're going to be presented with a different set of videos that they might want to watch. And all of that is based on all kinds of psychographic data that they've collected on every individual user, based on websites that they visited, based on previous videos that they've watched. And there's hundreds, literally hundreds of hours of new content being uploaded to these platforms every hour. And it is staggering the amount of content that's out there. And it is an overwhelming task to try to stay on top of it all, especially for parents.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, I was actually just looking at some data about kids and their kids when they get their first exposure to pornography, for example. The average age of a child's first exposure to pornography is 10 years old.
Oh, my God.
10 years old.
Oh, my God.
And a lot of these kids are saying that they're not even seeking it out. And a lot of them are seeing it on school issued devices, you know, so if your kid is coming home with a laptop that they got at school, that's where they're getting it from. Or they're seeing it on their friends' cell phones when they're in school. So the kids don't even have to be seeking out this kind of content for them to be targeted with it. So it is
for their little minds. I mean, you know, to be bombarded with all the pornography and stuff, that they don't give them a chance to grow up or anything.
No, and not only that, but I mean, the kids are becoming addicted to pornography at a very young age.
Oh, my God.
And it's creating a very distorted view of healthy sexuality, right? And because of the addictive nature, you know, over time, it's like with any drug or alcohol, you know, if you're consuming a certain amount over time, you become desensitized to what you're used to taking. And so you might look for a harder narcotic, or you might start drinking more in order to get that same feeling that you got initially, right? And it's the same with pornography. And so kids who become addicted at this young age start seeking out more and more extreme forms of pornography over time in order to get that same reaction, that same flood of endorphins that they got when they first consumed it.
And they're putting in movies I saw that where they're making it look like it's okay for children to have sex with adults, and it's just being bombarded. And then that the result of it, you know, children get taken advantage of, you know, at a young age. But I mean, and also not, you know, not just sex, it's violence too. And that impacts our entire community too, you know, the violence that they're putting on there is just, but that's a big job. How do y'all do it? I mean, you have to work, you have to have lots of people working thousands of hours a week to monitor it. It's a monster. How do you do it?
Well, we can't monitor it all, and that's the unfortunate reality. So we have to pick and choose. We have to pick our battles, and we have to pick our battles according to where we think we have the greatest potential to have an impact. And very often what we do is we look specifically for programs that appear to be targeted to young viewers, or that are likely to strongly appeal to young viewers but have problematic content. And we have to be very strategic and targeted in terms of what we pursue in our campaigns. So, for example, there's a HBO Max series called Euphoria, and we've been trying to sound the alarm on that series for parents for a long time, because the main character is a high school age character. So that therefore means that this is a show that is going to be very likely to appeal to teenagers, high school age kids, because this, you know, I'm almost 50 years old. I'm not interested in watching a show about high school, right? Who's interested in watching a show about high school? Well, kids who are in high school, right? It's rated for mature audiences, but mature audiences aren't interested in shows about high school. So it's really deceptive what they do. But it's a show that's set in high school, but these kids are engaging in really high risk sexual behavior. The main character is a drug addict. And you know, in some episodes, she's giving viewers at home instructions on how to pass drug tests when you're still using. I mean, how dangerous is that? How toxic is that? So we have to be very, very strategic and targeted in terms of which shows we're going to go after. And we also need the support of folks like you
I was
and
just ready to
all
say,
of
what
your.
can we do? I mean, sometimes you're looking at the TV and you're watching, you feel helpless. You say, oh my gosh, I can't believe that's on the air. And you have children in the room and you're saying, oh no, they can't see that. But what can we do at home as parents, grandparents, teachers? What can we do to support you and to stop this from coming into our homes? What can we
Yeah.
do?
So this is a real David versus Goliath
It
battle.
is. I thought
And
about that. I said, this is a David versus Goliath. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
but
Okay.
that's it, because we are a small nonprofit organization, and
Mm,
we're taking on a multi-billion-dollar global industry. You
yes.
know,
Yes.
they have pockets.
Mm,
And so what it really requires is a grassroots army of like-minded activists,
mm,
parents and
mm,
grandparents and
mm,
educators
mm,
who see
yeah.
firsthand what
Yeah.
this is to their kids and
Mm,
grandkids. They
mm,
see how their child all of a sudden goes from being happy and joyful one day to being
mm,
downtrodden, depressed,
mm,
and they see the toll that this stuff is taking in
mm,
the lives of their children.
mm,
And we need to speak out together, one voice,
mm,
and really push back hard on these companies. So what we do with the
mm,
PTC and what we try to empower folks to do is to communicate directly to the companies that are producing and marketing this content.
mm.
We encourage people to hit them where it hurts, which is the pocketbook.
That's
So
right.
if you subscribe to these
Mm,
streaming services,
mhm,
cancel your subscription, tell them why you're canceling.
mhm,
We go after the companies that are buying ads on the content and say,
mhm,
this is what your ad dollars are paying
mhm,
for. Are you proud to
mhm,
associate
mhm,
your name, your
mhm,
brand, your
mhm,
corporation with
mhm,
this kind of content? So
mhm.
we tie the content to what the advertisers are
Yeah.
paying for. And so what it really takes is many, 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 many parents and grandparents speaking up.
Yeah.
And I often say silence gives consent. If we are not actively speaking out in opposition to this sort of thing, then the networks and the content producers are going to say, well, you must be fine with it because you haven't complained.
Well, what is our elected officials doing about it? Are they doing anything? I mean, can we, what happened to the FCC? In terms of monitoring these things, what are they doing?
That's a great question. So with the Federal Communications Commission, they really don't have any regulatory authority over the streaming channels. So Netflix and Amazon Prime,
Uh-huh.
they have no regulatory authority there. Their authority only goes to broadcast. So
Uh-huh.
what you hear on the radio when you turn on the radio in your car, what you see on NBC or ABC or CBS, that's as far as their authority goes. They don't regulate content on cable even. So if you're watching, the USA Network or ESPN or TNT, the FCC's authority doesn't even extend as far as that. So there's not an awful lot the FCC can do. Um, we at the PTC have tried to encourage the Federal Trade Commission to look at the way these studios are marketing adult content to kids. That is an issue that the FTC used to concern itself with, but they haven't really done anything on that issue in a long time. And we hope to see the Federal Trade Commission really crack down on attempts to market adult content to children. And beyond that, there are,
What can
yeah,
we do? I mean, at being at home with some little bitty resources, but with some what can we do to help you to move that big giant and to get back to helping our children, learning about the good things in life.
right.
What can we do? What can we do, Melissa?
Well, if you go to our website, parentstv.org, you can sign up there to receive our free email alerts. And we send out at least one message a week, sometimes more often, but usually at least one message a week where we try to help inform you, to give you information so that you can talk to your children about what they're seeing in the media and why they need to use discernment
Mm-hmm.
when they're making their media choices. We also try to empower you so that you can get involved and take action. So we will very often ask you to send an email to an advertiser that we've selected, or we'll ask you to sign a petition, and then we will collect all those petition signatures and we will deliver them to the FBI and ask the FBI to investigate, or the Department of Justice and ask them to investigate, or to Congress or the president, or to the president of a company. So we do always follow through. Every time we ask you to take action, we always follow through and make sure that those companies, those representatives, those lawmakers are hearing from you.
You mean little old me could just push a button?
That's it.
We can help you.
Yes,
we can
yes.
send some resources, and we can help stop some of these things, these messages is getting out to our children.
I think so. I hope so, but it really does require a lot of people acting together.
But we could share the message
That's right.
On our social media.
Absolutely.
And call up some of the social organizations and churches that we belong to, and see if they could get involved in helping stop some of these negative messages that are going out to our children. I've seen children on social media, some news where they're committing suicide. They've been on the social media, they've watched some of the shows, and it does have an impact on our community. You know, it could get worse. Like you said earlier, if we're silent about it, it'll get bigger and bigger, you know?
Yeah. I mean, and this is what I often say to people. People say, well, look at how bad things are. How much of a difference are you really making? And the only thing I can say in response to that is just imagine how much worse it would be if they weren't getting any pushback at all.
Oh, yeah, if they weren't. Now, have you had any successes? I mean, you know, trying to do this. Have you had any successes with this?
Yeah, I think we have. In fact, just this past fall, we were asking our members to reach out to the companies that were advertising on a program called Little Demon, which really a horrific, really dark TV series. It was a cartoon about a 13-year-old girl who was the daughter of Satan, and her mother was a witch. So there's all kinds of occult references, but it's a cartoon about a 13-year-old. So again, you know, it's the same question about, you know, who's watching Euphoria? Who's watching a show about a cartoon about a 13-year-old? Clearly, despite who they say
they're watching it, probably.
Yes, it's being watched by kids. And it had animated nudity, it had graphic sexual content, it had occult references, it had really rough language, F words and S words, and some of the worst language you can imagine. So we went out.
Can access this. This is on
the FXX cable network, which is now owned by Disney. So this is Disney that is making. You would think
Disney used to be family friendly. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh gosh!
So we asked our members to reach out to the advertisers, and I can tell you that 90% of the advertisers that we were in communication with subsequently pulled their ads.
Oh, wonderful!
So they came off, and they did
so
not.
Members reaching out can help you. You know,
absolutely. And sometimes it just takes one message that lands on the right desk or the right inbox to make a difference. Sometimes it just takes one.
Wow! Give us that email again. What is that email address that you said that we can get information from you?
So if you go to www.parentstv.org, you can sign up to receive our email alerts.
www.parentstv.org. Oh my goodness, listening audience, if you are concerned about what is being put out there for our families, go to www.parentstv.org. Now, y'all know me, some people that have followed me, I'm going to do it, you know? So I hope you will follow me, and I'm going to tell everybody I know to do it, my family and everybody to do it, because we have to stop some of this. You know, children are getting too many messages and many of it is from that screen. And from our telephones, and we can make a difference. We definitely can. Now, if we see something, I mean, like if we see something, and I'm like I said, oh my gosh, I can't believe that they're doing this on TV, and I can't believe that they're doing this, and they said that it's for a general audience, and it's really not. Can we call you and tell you about it?
Yes, absolutely. Or you can
Oh,
send an email to grassroots at
okay.
parentstv.org and let us
Grassroots at
grassroots.org
parenttv.org.
and we'll take a look at it.
Oh, wow. Wow. Well, we don't have to sit at the TV in our living rooms or wherever we're watching it in our family rooms and feel helpless, y'all. Would you tell us how we can also do? Do you have a list of family friendly shows that are going on that you do you have anything like that?
Yeah, so we about once a month we send out over our email list. We call it our weekly wrap, but it's not weekly. It's more like once a month. But we always try to include some family friendly viewing options with our wrap, and we try to always, whenever there's something that's positive, that's uplifting, that's joyful, that's
Mhm.
hopeful, we always try to be a light in the darkness, not just
Yes.
yeah.
Because I mean, we have to really reward those television programs and those producers who are out there doing some good work too. I think that's really and
Abs-
also those other people we don't want to even listen to them.
yeah,
So that would be so good. I mean,
it's
if
important to
the
encourage
listening
people
audience,
that
if you just took the time and read the material, share it with your organizations. And I know there's been many groups here in Columbus and people that are talking about what is going on in the media and how it's hurting our families and our children. We can do something about it, no matter how small it is. We can do something about it. Uh, so, is there anything else that you want to talk about? Some of the future programs that you're doing on the show, Melissa?
yeah, we are both a research and an advocacy organization. So our goal is to be a resource for parents to help educate them so that they can make the best choices for their families.
Uh-huh.
But like I said earlier, the activism component of it is so vital. So we really need all the help we can get in order to push back on the people that are producing this content and distributing it. We really need to be vocal in our opposition.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get vocal, y'all. Let's get vocal. We can do something about it. I know that it's
We
a
can.
big giant, but you know what? David beat him with a little rock, a slingshot. So let's get our rocks together and say, pow! We want our families to have good content that's going to uplift the family for the next generations to come. I am so happy to be able to be on this program. You don't know how happy I am that I found you and that you're on, and the work that you're doing. We're God bless you for the work that you're doing and the Television Media Council for the work that you're doing on behalf of the families in our community. I really appreciate you taking the time to be on my program, and you've been listening out there to S.Yolanda Robinson in the know. And if you want to us to contact you about any information, you can put your comments down there, and don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to get your newsletter from the Television Media Council. Thank you, Melissa, for being on our program. Thank you. Let's see. I gotta see how it's stopping.